Take it away, Nami. Oh shit, I looked down.
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay, say that else. Ayo, we're the 9 to 5 Misfits, back again to help you change the game and kick ass in your career, baby. Today on our Getting Real segment, we have an amazing guest that's perfect for the holiday. Take it away, Nami. So this is Abhi Ravinutala. Oh, hey.
Hello.
So Abhi is the CEO of Man Mukti, which is a non-profit organization and that's dedicated to removing the stigma from mental health in the South Asian community. And he also is studying at the Harvard School of Divinity. So,
Harvard? What?
So Abhi, tell us what made you start Man Mukti and what is Man Mukti?
Yeah, sure. So Man Mukti, for those who don't know, it translates in Hindi to mental liberation. And so why did it start? I had a childhood best friend when I moved to the US who was kind of like older brother and like mentor to me. And around the time that he went to undergrad and he was at UT Austin for college, he started showing signs of mental illness. And much later I would find out that he was essentially showing signs of schizophrenia. And I had no idea at the time, right? But for me it was very hard because the way that his schizophrenia manifested was he would kind of make up stories that were not true and like blame me of doing things or blame my other friends of doing things. So it became a time kind of when I started to inevitably drift apart from him because I felt like he was like trying to create drama or things like that, right?
All the time.
Long story short, after we drifted apart for a while, he went through some further mental illness stuff and he eventually passed away in September of 2015. And for me it was a big kind of shock of like, it was actually, the way it happened was very ironic. I was hanging out with my friend on like Labor Day weekend and we were just talking, reminiscing like all the good times we had with my friend who passed away. And we're like, okay, like tomorrow we should like just call this guy up or something. And I had tried several times, but his mom was like, like give him some space or whatever, right? So I was like, let me like call his mom again tomorrow. And in the morning I get the message from my dad that like he's actually passed away. After the shock and grief of dealing with that, which was like one of the first times I really dealt with death, I could feel myself thinking that like I don't want this to just be a passing moment in my life.
Yeah.
This can be pivotal if I let it be. And I said, you know what, could have been so much more that could have been done if he had been willing to just say something to me about it or say something to his parents earlier about what he was going through. So I said, there should be something where people feel a little bit less scared to just like reach out or speak to each other, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I decided to start Man Mukti. Basically, I had a call with one of my good friends and saying like, hey, like we should do something. He was like, yeah, we should do something. And so we got together in like June of 2016. It's crazy for me to think about even being interviewed right now like by you guys because like a year ago we were literally just had a bunch of information on Google Drive,
Wow.
and now we're like a website and a podcast and like we are being invited to speak at like universities about what we're doing and stuff. So it's been a wonderful journey and I think we're making the difference that we set out to create.
So like you said, the stigma around mental illness in the Desi community is just crazy, right? Like nobody seems to tackle it head on. So if someone's suffering from mental illness of any sort, how can they seek help? And I guess it's a two-parter, like how can we as a community be supportive to people going through stuff?
Yeah, so let me start with the second part of it actually. How can we as a community be more supportive? I think what we're trying to do at Man Mukti is create that sense of support within the community, right?
Right.
Basically create a space where people can get together and basically get together and share their stories. Because once you realize that your neighbor down the street or whoever, so-and-so that you went to college with was dealing with depression and anxiety or dealing with bipolar disorder or something, you start to break down these ideas that you have in your head of othering those people that have mental illness or thinking that they're any lesser than you or anything like that. Because everyone you see around you is probably dealing with something on some spectrum of like mental health, right? Also, as a community, we should be willing to get into the fields that are important in actually providing help, right? Like how many of us are doctors and doing some things in the sciences field? If more of us were to do things in psychiatry, psychology, etc., it's a greater help to our community, right? Those who do get to seek help and like go to psychiatrists or psychologists, something like that, they're not getting the cultural competency that they need sometimes, right? Because it's hard to go to someone who's not of a South Asian background and say like, hey, I'm dealing with a lot of stigma, this is something I'm going through, and they just don't understand if they're Western. I think for the individual who is having some sort of mental health issue and like needs to seek help, it's a matter of trying to be open about sharing, right?
Yeah.
Because once you do that, you at least start to hear from other people who've probably been through similar things. One of the driving like messages we want to bring to people is that you're not alone in your mental health issues. Like everyone is dealing with it in some way. If they're able to seek resources that are not necessarily gonna put them in the public eye of seeking help, right?
Yeah.
There's so many digital resources now. It's 2017, right?
Yeah.
So there's things like Talkspace, which is basically you can chat with therapists or psychiatrists online. There's crisis text line, there's suicide prevention lifeline, all these things where you can kind of talk to people, get help without feeling stigmatized, right? Because no one's gonna know that you're on the phone with someone, no one's gonna know that you're chatting with someone.
Actually, another thing that I was wondering was, especially with Desis, right? We like to give a lot of advice. Is that a thing that you've seen with people where they're like, God, everyone's just giving me all this unsolicited advice?
Yeah, I think it's usual in our community for both physical and mental health.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not feeling well today, like you should boil this and this, like, drink it with like 2 spoons of milk.
Yeah, and then put like snake juice in there. I know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different probably impulses from the community to just share like different ways of dealing with things, and a lot of them can be scientifically inaccurate.
Yeah.
A lot of them can be harmful in some ways, right? Especially when it comes to mental health. So, but one of the other things that we're trying to drive home people is like just be willing to listen, right? Part of the concept of sharing stories is that there's someone else listening on the other side. When people come and reach out to us, like all we can say is thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
We know that's hard. It's not easy to do that. If you would like some resources, this is some links on our website, right?
So thank you so much, Abhi. This was really illuminating for a lot of us who don't know how to deal with this.
Yeah.
So guys, please check out all the resources he talked about, and we'll link those below as well.
Yeah. The holidays don't have to be a rough time.
I know.
This is our little version of Perd Happy's Ya Heard with Perd.
That is the end of this story, and we're going to stop talking now.